Hello and welcome to week 6 of Health 135. I'm so amazed at how quickly this semester is going by, and hopefully you've been enjoying the content so far. So last week we finished up Unit 2, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the participation and the resources that you all have found as we went through Unit 2. So I was so impressed with the blogs because there were so many great resources I hadn't seen before. And I really appreciated that we brought in some different chronic illnesses that children are suffering from that we don't normally think of. So seeing information about eczema was a really great resource, and I saw so many discussion board postings where they said that they had no idea that eczema and asthma are related, which was also news to me because both of my daughters had eczema when they were younger, and they both have varying degrees of asthma at this point in their lives. So I really hope that you're enjoying finding these different resources, but also sharing them with your classmates because it really is some great information. When I read over your discussion board postings about the daily health observations, I was absolutely blown away by all of your comments, and I loved the questions that so many of you came up with. So hopefully I was able to get to every single person's posting this time because I thought it was really important, since I was asking you to ask a question about something that you had learned, that I responded, because then you're also helping your other classmates. So the one that always is brought up is smoking really allowed near children? And the answer is no. But the rating system hasn't been updated since new regulations went into effect. But hopefully you got some really great information about the difference between the antiseptic hand wipes versus hand sanitizer versus soap and water. All kinds of great information about really what we should be doing to ensure health and healthy practices in our classrooms. So moving into Unit 3, we're going to start looking at safety. And so this unit is going to cover 2 weeks. So for this week, you're actually going to be looking at 2 different chapters in your textbook. So hopefully you're not going to be angry that you have 2 chapters to read. You're going to read chapters 7 and 10. 10 is not a lengthy chapter, but it is an important chapter, because what we're going to be looking at this week is not just safety in the environment, but also the safety of children. So if you look into this week's resources, now when you go to course content, you're going to be in Unit 3, which is safety. And so when you click on that, you're going to see a cute little video for you to watch. So hopefully you're enjoying those, and it puts a smile on your face every Monday. So you'll see that we have 2 weeks where we're going to be covering safety. And so for this week, we're going to be in the section caring for our children. So when you click on that, you're going to see in your required readings that here are the 2 chapters you're going to be reading, Chapter 7 and Chapter 10. So Chapter 7 is about creating safe and high quality environments. Chapter 10 is going to be about child abuse and neglect. So the most important thing that I will tell you about that is that as a teacher and as a worker with young children, you are what's called a mandated reporter. And that means that if you do suspect that there is abuse or neglect, you are required by law to report it. And so this chapter is going to give you some great information about warning signs to look for. But the most important thing to know is that you need to be very, very detailed in your documentation. We certainly don't want to go accusing parents without proper documentation. So Chapter 10 is really going to help out with that. Chapter 7 is a really, really important chapter because it does talk about creating these high quality and safe environments. So you will find that there's actually a narrated PowerPoint where some of these key concepts are pulled out, just so that you really have a true understanding of what it takes to create a safe, high quality environment. But the other resource that you're really going to be looking at for this week is called Caring for Our Children. And it is a tremendous resource on just about anything that you can think of that relates to children. So the entire resource is over 600 pages. So obviously we are not expecting that you're going to print this out. But I do want you to have this resource. It's a PDF file, so you should just be able to save it. And I would definitely recommend that you do that. I actually went to this resource for some of the questions that you asked on last week's discussion board about immunizations and hand sanitizer, those kinds of things. So if it relates to children, it's going to be in this resource. So this is an absolutely fantastic resource that you definitely are going to want to save. For the purposes of this week, you are going to be really looking at these key guidelines that I have pulled from that particular resource. Your assignment for this week is going to be a discussion board posting. It's another 3-2-1 based on these key guidelines. So I'm not asking you to actually read the entire Caring for Our Children, but I do want you to look over these key guidelines to make sure that you really have a true understanding, especially as it relates to safety of young children. In the supplemental resources, these are some great resources that you can use, you can download, you can save that are mentioned in the PowerPoint. So if you go back into week 6, you'll see for your assignments that this is the Caring for Our Children. So obviously nobody has done anything yet because it's not open yet. But what you're going to be doing is a 3-2-1. And again, it's going to be 3 things that you learned and 2 things that you agree with or disagree with. And then finally, 1 way that you're going to be able to use this information in your personal or professional life. And again, that's going to be based on those key guidelines from the Caring for Our Children, not the entire resource. So I will be spending this week grading your growth brochures and flyers. I'm so excited to see them. Many of you have already turned them in, and I have been highly impressed by what you have put in there. And so hopefully you found that it was a practical assignment that you will be able to use in the future. So I think that's it for week 6. So enjoy moving into Unit 3 on safety, and I will see you in week 7.